And it looks like we're back. The electrical in this place has some issues. Um, I have two 20 amp circuits in my garage for all of the outlets. One of those 20 amp circuits is for just one single outlet that I have my garage freezer and fridge on. And all of the other outlets run on a single 20 amp breaker, which I've tripped a few times lately with my bandsaw and shop vac running. Um, and tripped it again just now with just turning on my table saw, and had never had that problem before, but it tripped the breaker, and I went to reset it, and nothing came on still. So I ended up having to replace the breaker because apparently I have fried that 20 amp breaker with all of the times I've tripped it with my bandsaw recently. So I'm back now. Hey, Ruiz, thanks for being here, man. And Belly Cat, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Um, so yeah, I've got some electrical issues that I need to deal with. Be a little bit more judicious about what equipment I turn on, especially all at once, because I don't think, like, I haven't had any problems with the table saw slash shop vac setup in the past. I've turned this on many times, but I think because I'd already worn out that breaker with the bandsaw a few times, it was like, I'm done. So luckily I had an extra 20 amp breaker, a new one, just kind of laying around because of a project that I've been meaning to do. And so I was able to replace that and get things back up and running. But I need to restart everything here. So, and it's kind of good that I forgot that I got cut off, because I forgot earlier that I wanted to start with gluing up some oak. So, so let me get some oak glued up here. Let's see if I can free up this Titebond 3. And this way, if my breaker trips again, when I turn on the table saw, at least you will have gotten a little bit of a glue up that you could see first before I screw things up with my electrical again. All right. So I don't have a lot of glue in here, and might not be able to get any of it out. You know what? I am going to not worry about that. I'm going to come over to a different one. All right, so thinking to make some pen blanks for turning on the lathe. Haven't really ever done any pen turning. I've done a little bit of turning, but not that much. I want this to be nice and secure, so I put probably way too much glue on there. But if needed, I can move some of it over to the other side here. And once I get this all spread out and glued together, then I will come and check on the chat. So don't worry, I'm not intentionally neglecting you. I just want to make sure I get this glued up properly. And then I will come chat with everybody. Not that there's necessarily anyone wanting to chat with me, but just in case there is, I will be happy to discuss things with you. So get your questions in mind. Throw your comments in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. I am in the United States, in the great state of Idaho. It is probably approaching 3 a.m. here, but I couldn't sleep because I didn't want to sleep. And so here I am. Gluing up some oak. And I think I've decided that this is way more glue than necessary. But I didn't want to skimp. So I'm going to let the glue soak in a bit on both sides. Make sure I'm getting very thorough glue coverage. So if I just let it soak in a bit, it'll be more tacky when I put the boards together, and I should have less squeeze out, and in theory better adherence. So as I'm getting to the point of not having as much runny glue, I'm starting to get there a little bit here. Oh, it looks like I forgot to pull the loose bristles, which is why there's some bristles in there. I'll just leave it because who knows, that could provide some fun detail in the turned pen. All right, I'm getting to where it's about time to put these guys together. One of them is a little bit longer than the other if it's not obvious on camera. So this one that I'm gluing up now is a tad bit longer. So get out some clamperoos, and I will come and chat with all of you who are leaving messages. Thank you for being here, everybody. Okay. Then I'll get a couple in the middle, go in the opposite direction. All right, let's see what our squeeze out looks like. All right, that's pretty good squeeze out. Got pretty even all the way across. So that should work pretty well, I hope. And, oh, so this is an old hardwood floorboard. Well, all of these are. And so this glue coming out of this hole is, that's from one of the nail holes. So you can see the nail holes up top here. That now those are getting filled with glue, which is probably a good thing overall. Let's see. Yeah, not visible on the other side, so that should work out all right. All right, let me check in on chat. See what you guys are saying. See what you're saying about me while I'm not watching. All right, Belly Cat in Western North Carolina, just past 5 a.m. You just getting up? And Billy, good to see you. Good morning, everybody, says Billy. How's the family doing? Family's doing pretty well. Yeah, I got everyone's home, out of the hospital, doing pretty well. So pretty pleased. Johnny's in the house. Thanks for being here, Johnny. Appreciate it. Do you leave stuff in clamps a full 24 hours before working? Not really. I'm actually kind of hoping to work on this within a couple of hours, probably, because I'm impatient. So I think the instructions on the Type Bond say that you only have to have it clamped for half an hour. Let's see. It says apply a heavy spread of glue to surface and clamp for a minimum of 30 minutes. Do not stress joints for 24 hours. Remove excess wet glue with clean, damp cloth. Close cap after use. I mean, a lot of times I do end up leaving it clamped for 24 plus hours just because I clamp something and then go do other things. But if I'm anxious to do the project, then a lot of times I don't really wait that long, you know. So what was, oh yeah, I was working on a project for the, my wife and I teach some kids, some 11-year-old kids in Sunday school at church. And I was just doing this little project for them. And it was, you know, for Sunday. And so I started late Saturday night, of course, or maybe even early Sunday morning. I don't recall exactly when. And so I didn't really have 24 hours to wait for things to cure. But did my glue up, and then wait at least 30 minutes to an hour, and then I chiseled away the excess, the squeeze out with with the chisel. That's how you chisel, is with the chisel. But yeah, so I don't always wait a full 24 hours for sure. And I'm not planning to wait 24 hours for this glue up. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get tired and decide not to worry about it, but maybe I won't. In the meantime, I was thinking to do, so I'm thinking to do some pen blanks out of this. So once this dries, here, let me set the tripod down. So once this dries, then I will probably chisel off the excess glue if it hasn't been too long. If I wait too long, then the glue hardens and it's a lot harder to just chisel it off. If I do it when it's relatively fresh, then it's relatively easy to chisel it off, and I don't have to worry about the glue soaking in and making it so you can't stain it and all that sort of thing. But so anyway, if it's done soon enough, then I'll chisel off the glue and mill it up a little bit into some pen blanks. But in the meantime, I've got other stuff that I can mill up into pen blanks. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And we'll see what else we can turn into some pen blanks, including the stuff that I already have on the table saw. So that is oak from hardwood floorboards, like I was mentioning earlier. And this is some cherry wood that I got from a friend who cut some branches off of their cherry tree. So, and then I didn't paint the ends of the cherry wood. And so I got some checking and some cracking and stuff, which you can see like on this maple wood here. So, well, there's cracking here in the middle too, but especially on the ends. I didn't paint the ends when I first got this maple wood. And so more moisture leaves from the end of the log than from the middle. And I hadn't, it was the full log. I hadn't milled this up yet. So I just had it sitting around. And so more moisture got out of the end, and then that causes the cracking on the end. So that's what you want to avoid by painting it. But yeah, I don't remember why I was bringing that up. Oh, so I didn't, so I've got that problem with my cherry, but I decided rather than saying it's not worth doing anything with, I filled a bunch of those cracks with epoxy. And so I'm not sure, like some of it's not going very deep. Like on that one, it's, pretty surface level. So when this, when we go to actually turn this on the lathe, that might not actually end up showing at all, but I thought it might be cool to have a little bit of resin showing up on those things. So anyway, I was just gonna mill some of this up into some pen blanks. Let's see where we're at here. Do I make a lot of pens? No, I have not ever made any pens. So let's see, what part of Western North Carolina are you in? Billy's in Wilkes County, sweet. I have never been to any part of North Carolina. I am in Idaho, for those of you who were not around when I mentioned that before. It is 3:22 a.m. according to the clock on my monitor here. And whoa, hopefully when I start the table saw back up, it doesn't trip the breaker again and destroy the breaker like it did when I tried running things earlier. So let's see, Belty Cowton, Caldwell County, only a few miles apart. Sweet. You guys can get together, have a party. Have a Pelado Creations viewing party. That would be awesome. You would be the envy of the world. All right. Hopefully this doesn't trip the breaker, which includes the computer that is running the live stream. Hopefully it doesn't trip the breaker again and cut off the live. But if it does, thank you all for having been here. And hopefully we'll see you again. So be sure to subscribe and hit the like and all the stuff so that we can meet up again just in case we get disconnected. All right, here we go. So just squaring things off there. So let me take off the old crosscut sled and lower the blade now because the crosscut sled is no longer there. And I'm going to try just squaring these. I was talking to someone the other day. They said that the ideal thickness for them is 1 inch by 1 inch. These are a little short of that, but I figure, you know, they're a little bit more than 3/4 inch, but I figure that's still going to be plenty big enough for, you know, turning a pen. So hopefully I'm right. Let's see here. Belty has not been to Wilkes in several years. Family used to camp at Kerr Scott. Okay. Finally been getting some much needed rain. Oh, good. Lots of rain over here too. Sweet. Isn't there usually a fair amount of rain in North Carolina? I would assume, being so coastal. I mean, we're a semi-arid climate here in Idaho, so we don't typically get a lot, but I would imagine that you guys typically get a lot more. So let's see how this goes. You know what I was just thinking? Maybe it'd be better if I move this to where you guys can actually see what I'm cutting. What do you think? Is that better? Do some adjustments here. All right. That one's probably a little too thin, but those should work okay. What do you think? Familiar with Highway 268? Yes, he is. 3/4 inches ideal, says Johnny. Sweet. Got an old friend that lives in Ferguson. Sweet. All right. So let's keep going. Wonder if maybe I need to clean my blade because that's a lot of burning. And I've got a bit of a knot there. Shouldn't affect things too much. Maybe just make the pen a little more narrow there. And then got some resin in both of those, but probably not deep enough to where it'd actually stay on the pen. So those guys are about 5.5 inches. They told me 6 inches was preferred. So let me bring my crosscut sled back over here. And set my stop block to 6 inches. And got an old friend that lives in Ferguson. Brother used to live off 268 on the Caldwell side, not too far from Laura Foster's grave. Okay. All right. Let's see. And we'll see if we can just cut these right there. We're gonna need to raise the blade back up. Now that I've got the crosscut sled here. Wait for the blade to slow down. That's enough. Wow. Those are almost exactly 6 inches each. All right. So, got, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cherry blinks. Basically 3/4 inch cubed. So, that's a decent start, right? Right? Do you agree? Let me know. Good start, bad start? Let's see how we're, yeah, we're getting some drying there. Not as dry yet as I want it to be, but we'll keep checking back on the oak. In the meantime, let's see, should we tackle the maple first or the pear first? Both of them are not particularly flat. Or should I say neither of them are particularly flat? That's probably a better way to say it. There we go. All right. So I was thinking, which is always dangerous for me, but I was thinking that I could use my rip cutting jig and rip cut something like that. And maybe even get some stuff out of here. And then I wanted to use a section here for something else. So let me take my cross-cut jig off again and bring you all over here so you can see the next jig. Which is the rip cutting jig. And I wonder if this is going to work, because this is a much thicker slab than what I've used this jig for in the past. So I might need to make some adjustments. All right. Yeah, this is, I don't think I've got enough clearance here, unless I've got some longer and can I make that fit? I don't know if I can. I might have to try to do this on the bandsaw because, yeah, these are not going to be long enough. Darn it. All right. So much for my ripping jig here. So that material is just too thick for it, which I think is 6/4 is what I think is what I cut that up at. So, all right, sad. In Catawba plus Lincoln County about 5 days a week. Go to Northern Virginia several times per year. Visit our son. Got enough of this heat, ready for cooler weather. I understand that. It is not too terrible right now here, but part of the reason is because it's, again, 3:30 in the morning. So, all right, let me unplug the old table saw and lower the saw blade. And just throw that out of the way for the minute. And all right. So let's get the bandsaw going here. My daughter was kind enough to clean out our van earlier today, and she used my shop vacuum. So I need to get it back into place after her use. And let's see if I can get the bandsaw where it needs to be. Whoa. Okay, come on now. Come on. There we go. That's better. And we'll move this bandsaw out of the way. All right. And I'm going to try just making a unguided straight cut on this guy. And then we'll clean him up on the jointer later. Maybe. All right. You want cooler, but no snow or ice. All right. I'll allow it. I will allow it. And I need to plug the bandsaw in. It usually works better that way. Let's see. I can go a little lower on the blade here, I think. All right, let's see how we're, let's get you a little closer. Get a little closer, air it extra dry. Hey, tracking camera, how you doing? Can you see me? Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for joining the party. All right. Okay. What am I building with a chunk of maple? Good question. So I am also wanting to do some pen blanks from this. And then in addition to the pen blanks, I was thinking to do a mallet. So I was thinking this might be some good wood for that. But I did have a small mallet that I made a while back. Just used cedar and for the handle, and then oak for the strike plates. And it was doing really well until the other day when I was pounding some maple into some sycamore in order to kind of wedge the sycamore open so I could get it through the bandsaw. And my mallet didn't really care for that too much. So kind of cracked a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, that's fair. It's not that great of a mallet in the first place. So maybe I'll just make something out of maple instead of cedar and oak strike plates. So we'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. All right, so that should be plenty thick for getting some pen blinks out of. Probably don't want to use these chunks that are all cracked unless I fill them with resin first, which I'm not going to do. So we'll just put that to the side for now. And let me make another mark here. Just make it the width of the you know what, that didn't mark that well in the middle, but why would I want to follow the line in the middle, right? There we go. That's better. And this doesn't have to be exact, because this is just the first step in the process. Well, the first step in the process was getting the maple. The second was milling it. The third was putting it in the kiln. The third was, or the fourth was maybe this. Susan also builds a lot with resin. Stuff is too messy for me. Yeah, I don't do a lot with resin, or at least I haven't in the past. I've got a bunch, but it's spoken for. I'm supposed to be using it to redo our countertops. I've done part of them, but haven't. I've done the island, so I still need to do all the rest of the countertops, but that's a lot more work. So I've kind of been procrastinating a bit. Shame on me. All right, here we go. All right, didn't follow the line quite as well as I'd hoped there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. All right, so I could probably get quite a few pen blanks out of this stuff, and then I'm going to use that primarily for the mallet. So let's see. Let me. I think I'll joint all of this stuff, and then oh, you know what? I should mill this. Or oh wait, I've already got. Well, it's not that flat. Let me just check here. Yeah. Probably better to mill that up a little bit more. So I've got a relatively flat side there from when I first milled that. So I'm just gonna take a couple passes there with a makeshift fence. Let's see, so this should be about 2 inches, just over 2 inches. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll make it like 2 and, is it 2 1/4? 2 1/8 probably. Yeah, pretty close to 2 1/8. We'll shoot for that. Not exactly exact with the way I'm having to measure. Oh, the clamps that I typically use are currently in use with the oak. It's probably been close to half an hour on those, so maybe it's safe to, oh, I need to be careful of my lower support there. All right, it's about 8 1/8. So I'll show you what I mean here in a second with my lower supports. All right, so the way I built this bandsaw table, so I've got the original table right there, obviously, and then I just got plywood, and oh, good thing I looked because I didn't put my other support on. So this goes over here. I mean, I'm probably not going to have to worry about it for this size of a board, but so then I've just got those supports going to the the base of the bandsaw, and that has provided plenty of support so far. All right. And I need to raise my blade guide up. That might be a little too low. That should be good. All right. Always fighting air bubbles in the resin. That's what torches are for. Yeah, check out Resonating Art with Amy M. She does a great job with resin. As does Beaten Crazy. I'm messing that up. Miss Francis is Beaten Crazy something or other. She does a nice job too. If you want to check out her channel, she's often using resin in various ways. All right. And oh yeah, and Johnny, who's been in the chat, he also does a lot of pens with resin. So we've got some pear, we've got some maple, we've got some cherry, we've got some oak that's glued up. All right, so now we need the jointer. So I'm going to put the pear back over here. And I'll put that over here. Put my jig away without having used it because I realized it wouldn't work for this project. Just store it up there. Level up there. I'm going to, let's see, so this is all cherry. Let me put the cherry over here for a moment. And then, oh, I had some more oak that I was thinking to mill up or to cut into blanks. That's going to be similar in size to the cherry, maybe, you know, smaller in some dimensions, but not too far off. So it's pretty close to 3/4 inch. All right, how's my oak coming? The glue is getting a little hardened there. Still a little bit squishy on the ends, or on the for my squeeze out. So I'm gonna see what that looks like. Hardening a little bit. And then I've got my squeeze out through the nail holes. So I'll put this over here for the moment on the router table. If I can move all the fences from for the router table and the bandsaw over. Hopefully I don't have any issues with drip. Wouldn't think so at this point. I think that the glue is dry enough now to not be a problem. I'm gonna take some of my offcuts here, some of the garbage, get that out of the way. And now we can get out the jointer. I think I've cleared enough space for it. But I guess we'll find out. All right. Got a great deal on this Porter cable jointer. Bought it together with a dust extractor and my planer, some replacement blades, a bunch of router bits. I paid exactly what the seller asked, and I still kind of felt like I was robbing him. All right. So these pretty much the same diameter. And so how I usually work is, or how I usually make it work, is with painter's tape. Oh, that didn't work. If I can just have to be smarter than the tape, which sometimes is a struggle for me. All right. Okay. And all right, so I'm going to joint all of this stuff here. And where is my stuff? All right. I'm going to adjust my Grabber Pro. So I get better purchase on everything. All right, that should work. Okay. Belty has to get started on the day. Catch you later. Hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Now take care. Have a blessed and safe day. Yep. And all right, let me see if I've got an angle here where you guys can see what's going on. How do you guys like that? Is that good? All right. So I'll just try jointing some of this stuff up, see how it does. And looks like that's working okay. Sometimes I need to apply more dry lube to make sure it's moving all right. So I think we're good. I'm going to turn on the shop vac, turn on the jointer, and then we'll get going. reason I'm turning it off at the moment is because it seems like there should be a lot more dust collection happening instead of everything shooting out right up here. So I'm going to try vacuuming this out a bit and see if we can't clear a plug or something. Maybe I didn't clear it out that well the last time I used it. You guys see that it's just packed full? So I was noticing all of this shooting back out instead of going through the dust collection. So that's what tipped me off that maybe things weren't happening how they were supposed to. All right. Let's try this again. Oh, it's like oh, what the crap?